am just really not that fearful about that sort of thing. Oh, this sounds so weird. We want a very hands-off experience when it comes to birth. This may be a little bit controversial, but no, both Ez and I think that we're having a... Hi there friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My husband and I have just announced that we are pregnant, which is so exciting. At the time that I'm filming this, I am almost 20 weeks, so we are nearly halfway. But I thought that it would be really fun to sit down and answer some of your questions about our pregnancy so far. I got you guys to ask me some questions over on Instagram, and there were so many that came through, so I'm just gonna jump straight into them. The first question is, how have you been feeling? Which is so sweet of you to ask, thank you. I have been feeling so great. I would say ever since about 16 or 17 weeks. My nausea has finally subsided for the most part, and I really feel like I'm just in that second trimester bliss that everyone talks about, where things are great, you are not feeling as sick anymore. And so that has been such a nice change, and also such a stark contrast to what I experienced in my first trimester. So I am really grateful to be feeling a little bit more myself, a lot healthier, a lot better. I'm able to actually get up and do things like cook a meal or wash the dishes or look after the home now. So that has been the biggest blessing, and I am definitely soaking it up as much as I can. Moving on to the next question. This was something that we got a lot, and it is, how long have you been trying for? Was this a surprise bub, or were you trying? Along those sorts of lines. And so I do want to answer this question. However, I want to do it in a way that is sensitive to other people's situations, because I am so aware of the struggles that people face when trying to conceive. And so my answer for this is that our baby was definitely a surprise. If you watched the video of me finding out and also me telling my husband, I think you would be able to see just how shocked we both were. We both were not planning on getting pregnant for probably 1 to 2 more years, and even though we talked about having a baby every single day, we just really thought that it wasn't our season for it, I guess. But God definitely had other ideas for us, and for that we are so grateful. We would not change a thing. So I guess my answer is that we weren't trying to get pregnant, but I do want to explain a little bit as to how it happened, just for a little bit more clarity. I've been off birth control for years now. I think I came off my IUD back in 2021, so 4 years ago almost. And ever since then, Ezra and I have been natural family planning, which is basically where you track your ovulation and you just take extra precaution around the time that you ovulate if you don't want to get pregnant. And then if you do want to get pregnant, obviously you don't take that precaution. So for years my ovulation window was the same, and we knew exactly what days that we did or didn't have to take any preventative measures, I guess. So in the month that I fell pregnant, it got to like day 20 something of my cycle, which Ezra and I know from experience that we are usually completely fine with. And so we weren't taking any precaution because we've never had to in the past, but we know from our dating ultrasounds and our HCG level blood tests that I ovulated late that month. And so it just was a case of miscalculating my ovulation window, which again, we are so grateful for and we would not change. However, I did just want to explain that a little bit, because I feel like when people say, oh, we weren't trying, and they conceived, it can be really disheartening for people who have been trying for years to get pregnant. My heart really goes out to anybody that is experiencing that or has experienced that. I know that we have friends who are in similar positions and similar boats, but yeah, my heart just truly goes out to everybody in that situation. I pray that God has his hand over you while you are waiting, and I am sending you so much love. The next question is, are you finding out the gender? We got asked this so many times and I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite questions, because to me, finding out the gender of your baby is just so so exciting. And so yes, we will be finding out the gender. We do not know the gender as of now when I'm filming. However, we should be finding out very soon, which we are so excited for. And then from there, we will do a little gender reveal with our families, and then we will announce it on social media. So stay tuned. I will be documenting the entire process, but we are both just so excited to be finding out who is in here, who is kicking away. Going along with the last question is, do you have any hunches so far on the gender? Yes, Ezra and I both have a hunch, I guess, but truly we would be so happy and blessed with either. We don't have a preference, and we do believe that whoever the Lord has picked as our firstborn child is for a reason. He knows the dynamic of our family, he knows it now and what it will be in 20 years, and he knows what we need. And so we really do not have a preference at all. However, we do have a hunch. Both Ez and I think that we're having a girl. We have felt very strongly about that ever since pretty much the day that we found out that we were pregnant. However, I have seen so many women and couples in general say that they were so sure it was one gender, and then they found out that it was the opposite. So I'm really just trying to leave it open. Again, we don't mind at all. A little boy would be so beautiful, and so would a little girl, obviously. So yeah, we are so excited to find out. I can't wait to see if like our intuitions were correct or not. We could be completely off. Somebody asked, why did you wait so long to announce? Ez and I announced our pregnancy the day that we turned 18 weeks, and to be honest, it was really unintentional for the most part. All throughout my first trimester, I was really quite sick, and I was just basically lying on the couch the entire time. So it took us a really long while to actually be able to tell all of our friends and family, and we didn't want them finding out on social media or through like a post. So by the time that I was actually feeling alright and up and ready to tell people, I was like 16 weeks anyway, which is I think kind of what pushed it so far out. And also with the holiday season, I feel like from 12 to 18 weeks, because for me that was over Christmas and like the New Year period, it just went so quickly. And I remember finding out I was pregnant and thinking, how do people hide this for 8 to 10 weeks? I thought that time was going to go so slow, but it went a lot faster than I anticipated. So it wasn't intentional, but with that said, we did really enjoy having that little bubble with each other, but also with our family for a long time. It was so sweet to just have them, I guess, to talk to about it. And so that's why. Somebody said, congratulations, when are you due? Firstly, thank you. Secondly, we are due on June 15. According to my last menstrual cycle, I should actually be due at the start of June, but again, because I ovulated late, they've backdated me to the middle of June. So baby could really come anytime between like the end of May and the start of July. So I'm really not fussed. I know that babies come when they are ready, and we are not rushing the process at all. We don't even necessarily believe in due dates. So many women, especially first-time mums, can go to 41 or 42 weeks so easily. And so I say like our estimated due date with a grain of salt. I'm really not that fussed. However, the date that we have been given by our midwives is June 15, which is also my mum's birthday, and that is really special and really exciting. This is a good question. Somebody asked, is there anything in your life that you've changed since getting pregnant? I want to answer this because I posted a story last night on Instagram of me eating some rock melon, and the amount of messages that I received from people telling me that rock melon was a no-no food during pregnancy, there was a lot. This may be a little bit controversial, but no, there is nothing that I have changed since getting pregnant. I still eat soft cheeses, I still eat deli meat, I'll drink whole milk, I'll go in hot tubs, and I'll still have really hot showers and baths just because that's the way I like it. It's the way my body likes it, and I really haven't felt the need to change anything. One of the things that I said to a few of the people that messaged me about the rock melon story, I'll basically just read out my response. So I said, thank you so much for your concern, but I'm really not worried about that sort of stuff. We buy most of our fruits and veggies organically from local farmers, but even if we didn't, the risk of those diseases in Australia is so incredibly low due to the refrigeration and harvesting regulations that we have anyway. The same goes for things like deli meat and soft cheeses. Ezra and I also pray over and and bless our food every single time we eat anything, so I'm really not too fussed. I do appreciate your message. I just won't succumb to any sort of fear, for instead God gives us the spirit of power, love and self-control. This has been such a big theme in my life, even since before I got pregnant, is not succumbing or submitting to or focusing on anything that is basically fear related. My entire life used to be run by fear and anxiety, and it says in the book of Timothy that that does not come from the Lord. And so I have taken that with me into pregnancy. If you actually look into the statistics behind the reason why we have these rules, they are so low anyway. And even if you, Lord forbid, hypothetically contract listeria, the likelihood of it actually harming your baby in any way is still so low. And so I am just really not that fearful about that sort of thing. There is actually a nutritionist or a dietitian that I follow whose name is Alice. I'll tag her up here, but she is also pregnant. I think she's a few weeks ahead of me, and she spoke about this recently because it is such a common thing to have these fear-mongering tactics thrown at you, especially while you're pregnant. And so she actually researched and dove into the statistics behind these things, and she has some great resources on it, so I would recommend checking her out. But yeah, that is the decision that Ezra and I have made for our family. I know that it might not be a common response, but that is my answer for that question. The next question is, what has been the most wonderful thing about pregnancy so far? Truly, I love everything to do with pregnancy. Even my first trimester, although it was pretty difficult in some respects, I still just remember feeling so grateful for everything that I was going through, even when I was literally sitting over the toilet chucking, which sounds so gross, and I'm so sorry that you had to hear that, but that is the reality of it, or it was for me. I just remember praising God anyway, and just being so grateful for the blessing that is this little life in my belly. Oh, I just have felt so full and joyful and thankful, I guess, the entire time ever since the moment I found out. But I would say probably the most wonderful thing about pregnancy so far is, well, I have two answers. My first thing would be feeling the movements or the kicks. I think that is so incredible, and every single time it happens, I just cannot believe it. It is so special. I've only just started being able to really differentiate between things like digestion or just my body's natural flow and our baby, and I am halfway through my pregnancy. I have an anterior placenta, which means that it's on the front. That can usually result in you having to wait a lot longer to feel kicks on the outside or even on the inside as well. And so yeah, that's been a recent thing. That's just been the joy of my life, and Ezra's been able to feel some kicks now as well. We were lying in bed last night and he had his hand on my belly, and we were feeling lots of little kicks and movements and rolls and that sort of thing. And then I actually rolled over to cuddle him as we were going to sleep, and the baby kicked his back like when I was cuddling him, and he felt it. He was like, what was that? Was that a kick? It was so noticeable, and that's just been so special. I would say that is my number one. But then number two as well is getting an ultrasound and seeing our baby that is inside my body on the screen. So far we've only had 2 ultrasounds. So we had a dating scan at about 7 weeks, and you really couldn't see much. It was just like a little, I was going to say fish, but almost like a little tadpole. Like if you've got a pregnancy app and you go to what a 7-week baby looks like, our first ultrasound basically looked exactly like that. We could see the heartbeat really clearly, which was so cool. But then our second scan at our 12-week ultrasound, obviously we hadn't seen the baby since that 7-week ultrasound, and so the jump from 7 to 12 weeks is so insane. At 12 weeks they have all of their limbs and they're basically fully formed, and so you can see so much. And I just remember thinking how insane it was to see it on the screen when she had the Doppler on my belly. Like I couldn't believe that that was inside my body and that that was our baby. And Ezra and I were talking about it on the way home from the scan and just going like, wow, that was so surreal to see that. But they have definitely been the most wonderful, incredible things about pregnancy so far. Somebody asked, how was your first trimester? I've mentioned my first trimester a little bit throughout this video, but basically I was super nauseous from weeks 5 to weeks 16 or 17, but I only actually threw up a handful of times. So that was something that I was super grateful for. I do actually have a first trimester recap coming out in the next few weeks where I filmed updates periodically over the few months that I was in that season, and so I do go into a lot more depth in that video. One thing that I will say is I am so grateful for my husband. The amount of times that he showered me or that he washed my hair. In fact, I don't think I washed my hair at all by myself in my first trimester, maybe once. But yeah, on top of working his full-time job, he would then come home and take care of the house. He would clean up, he would do the dishes, he would cook me or order me whatever I wanted. He would rub my feet every single night. He is just such a loving man with a heart for serving people, but oh my gosh, he was just so incredible throughout my entire first trimester and beyond that. Obviously, like now he's still great, but it was so sweet to have that support. Somebody asked, what were your symptoms prior to finding out? Also, congratulations. Thank you so much. My symptoms prior to finding out, I spoke a little bit about this in a vlog that I put out just after we announced, but it was really difficult to actually tell because my husband and I did a paleo diet challenge for the month that we conceived, and so I was fully expecting my luteal phase and my menstrual cycle to change anyway. So when it did, because I was pregnant, I just thought that was maybe as a result of like the diet change and didn't actually attribute that with pregnancy. I was really tired and I was super unmotivated. I remember just feeling like I had lost my spark for creativity, which I actually spoke about in a vlog that I posted before I found out I was pregnant, probably about a week before I tested, or a week and a half. I was feeling super just like down in the dumps and I had no idea why. I really just thought that I was at the end of my cycle, about to get my period. Another thing is that I felt really drained physically and emotionally with nothing wrong in my life. Like life was great. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to see anyone for probably like the week and a half again before I found out that I was pregnant. And then, oh my gosh, this is actually one that I forgot about, but I have it written down here because I wrote it down super early in my pregnancy, so I didn't forget that I went through this. But a few days before I found out, I started getting the ick for everything that I was eating. I remember sitting there one morning eating breakfast, and it's a breakfast that I have all the time. It was just eggs and avocado. I actually have a photo of it on my Instagram that I'll put here. But that morning I was eating my eggs and I remember biting into my egg and pulling it back and just looking at it like I just didn't want it, and the best way to describe it was that I got the ick. And I remember even like the texture of the avocado was a little bit different to me, and that was probably 3 days before I found out. And then the day that I found out that I was pregnant, I actually say this in the video where I found out, but I was in the shower washing my hair, getting ready for work, and I felt so dizzy, which is very unlike me as well. And so that's actually what made me test, even though I still didn't think anything of it. Like I was like, nah, there's no way I'm pregnant. But that actually is like the trigger point for what made me test. But they were my very early signs and symptoms. It can be different for everyone, but I have watched quite a few first trimester vlogs, and there are some women who go through similar things. So that is super interesting. I love this question. So it is, have you got any name options yet? Yes, we do. We have a definite name option for a girl, her middle name and everything, and we've had that name for years. And then for a boy, we have 2 names that we absolutely love. We're definitely leaning more towards one, and we both have kind of agreed that that's our first pick, we think. But yeah, we do have a name, I guess, for both. We're so excited to, one, be able to name a baby. Like, what an honor that is. The fact that you are speaking that name over that child for their entire lifetime is just so special, and we do not take that lightly, and we are just so excited to be able to know who's in there. That's another reason why we really want to find out the gender as well, is because then we will know who it is by name and we can start calling them that and stuff like that. So yes, we do have names and we are so excited about it. Another question that I got is, what kind of birth are you planning for? My husband and I are, Lord willing, planning for a home home birth. We have known for years and years that we want to give birth at home. We want a very hands-off experience when it comes to birth. I think that physiological birth is so important for both mum and baby, and we have been praying for a home birth for years, even before we were pregnant. So I am truly just so excited to even go through labor and delivery. I think it is such a blessing. I cannot wait. I'm not fearful about birth. I've watched my mum give birth. So many of my friends have had such joy-filled, beautiful home births as well, and I am so excited to be able to, again, Lord willing, do it in the safety and shelter of our own home. I don't like hospitals. I never have. They make me feel uncomfortable, and so I think if I was to give birth in a hospital, which is such a sacred, life-changing event, I just wouldn't enjoy it, and I don't think that it would be the best place for me to be. The next question is, how are you feeling about motherhood and everything that comes along with it? I feel like a broken record when I say this, but truly I am so excited. I have so much joy. I feel like I was born and made to do this, and it is just something that fills my heart and warms my soul, and it makes my heart glow. And so I'm so excited about everything that comes with motherhood, whether it be pregnancy, labor and delivery, the newborn stage, the toddler stage, the children stage. Oh my gosh, what a joy it is to be able to experience this. I cannot believe that God was kind enough and gracious enough to bless us with this gift of being able to grow life in our bodies. Like, that is so wild to me, and oh my gosh, my husband and I adore and love this baby so much already. Having a baby and raising children is just such a blessing, and it's such an honor, and I'm so excited about it. Somebody asked, have you had any pregnancy cravings? Not super strong ones where I'm like, I need this food right this second. I really struggled with food aversions in my first trimester, so the thought of any food was just really unappealing to me. But what I will say is that I have really enjoyed fresh fruit. I probably would consider that as a craving, because I remember early in my first trimester I really wanted watermelon, and it was 9 p.m. at night, and so my husband went out and bought some because we didn't have any in the house. So yes, I'd probably consider like fresh fruit a craving, but aside from that, no crazy cravings, I guess. I have wanted a lot more sweet food than normal, which is bizarre. Usually I am a savory girl through and through, but yeah, I've been wanting a lot of sweet food since getting pregnant. The next question is, are you taking a prenatal? Yes, I am. They are the Evernatal ones from Maternal Vitamins. This is something that I was so specific about when choosing. They are formulated for maximum absorption by a naturopath, and they are so great. I really love them. This next question said, did you have much nausea? If yes, what helped you? Again, I go into this in a little bit more depth in my first trimester recap, so you'll see more then. But a few of the things that really helped me was constantly eating smaller meals instead of less frequent larger ones. I found that whenever I got hungry was when I was the most nauseous. Sipping on ice cold water helped a lot, especially for the times that I did throw up. I feel like it just made the, this sounds so weird, but I feel like it made the chuck a lot easier, I guess. I'm so sorry, especially if you are going through your first trimester and you just had to sit there and listen to me say that, but it's true. Showers and baths really helped. I had a bath every single day in my first trimester, sometimes multiple times a day. When nothing could soothe me, the water could. I remember there was one day where I was so uncomfortable in my first trimester, and the longest bath that I took was 10 hours. I'm not kidding. I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning, decided I was uncomfortable, so wanted to get into the bath, and I didn't get out until 5 p.m. that night. It wasn't intentional. I didn't get into the bath thinking I'm gonna be in here for so long, but I was just too uncomfortable to get out, so I stayed in there the entire day. But I really found that being in water helped me. The other thing that I will mention as well is seasick bands. Oh my gosh, I got onto these so late. I don't know why, because when I was about 6 weeks pregnant, my mum told me to go and buy them from the chemist, and I just forgot until I was probably like 10 weeks. But seasick bands are little grey bands with pressure points that basically just this press right here and there's like a nerve there or something that suppresses nausea. I'm not quite sure how it works, but so many people swear by them, and I really felt like they made a massive difference when I started wearing them. So if you are going through something similar, definitely would recommend going and getting yourself some. Ez and I just went to our nearest chemist and they had them there for about $20, I think. Okay, I feel like I have been talking for the longest time, so I'm going to answer one more, and I thought that we could end it on a really good question. This one says, will you be posting content of your child once they are earthside? Oh my gosh, my answer for this one is I don't know. This is something that my husband and I talk about every single day. We have been discussing it for years as it's become a lot more common, I think in the last 2 to 3 years, just to keep your kids off social media and not share their faces or really any of their details. So we definitely have discussed it a lot, even more so now that we are actually pregnant, and we are still undecided, I guess would be the right word. There are multiple different facets to this question. I don't think it's like a one size fits all answer. I really just have such a heart for creation, specifically content creation and that sort of thing. And being that I am planning on staying home with our children, I can imagine that my entire life basically is going to revolve around our kids. And so I think for the most part, it would be really difficult to leave them out of things, especially like YouTube. And also another big thing that goes into this for us is that we are people who are just so aware of the spirit of fear. And again, I talked a little bit about this earlier, but I think making any sort of decision like keeping your children off social media, I know that people do it for protection, but I do think that there can be an element of fear behind it. And whilst again it is important to be aware, we just don't want to make any decisions, especially regarding our children, out of fear. And so I don't know, I think that there is a very healthy way that you can share things while also maintaining privacy for them and their little lives as well. So again, we are not 100% sure. I think we will probably just see how we feel as we go. I can't imagine basing all of my content around our child. However, we both really don't mind, we think, like if they're in the background or stuff like that. There are a few creators that I think are really good at keeping a balance of maintaining their children's privacy, but also just naturally sharing the progression of their lives as adults, which includes having children and adding to your family and stuff. And somebody who I think does this really, really well is Kristen Johns. She still has like her content, what she enjoys, and she doesn't share every single detail about her children. However, she still has them in the background of some of the videos, and she still posts family photos and films cute moments. And I think that is probably at this stage the approach that we are looking at taking. But again, that could change, and I think that it's kind of impossible to really make a decision unless you are in it and you just see how you feel at the time. Wow, ended that on a really deep note. I think that's such a large conversation, so yeah, we'll just take it as it comes, but it is something that we do think about all the time. Anyway, with all of that said, I wanted to say thank you so much for not only sending through the questions, there were so many, but also for all of the love that both my husband and I have received since announcing. It has just been such a special experience to be able to share this publicly. And I was actually saying to my husband the other day that I really feel like since sharing that we are going to be parents, it's kind of opened this whole new door of community for us. The amount of messages that we have received from mums or dads that are wanting to share advice or share love or whatever the case may be, I really just feel like it's opened doors to a whole different community that we've just never experienced before. And people are so loving and have just been so sweet, and we are so grateful for it. So thank you so much for all of the love. Not one comment or DM goes unnoticed. We are so appreciative. I am going to end the video here. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!